Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be working with my CKCB October kit. I will post a link to the CKCB blog post about our inspiration kit, as well as my own blog post and the video that I created showing how I created my own kit from my stash. I pulled some papers to play with for some photos that I found in a 1999 photo box. All of my photos, except for very recent photos, are organized in photo boxes by year. And I was digging through this 1999 box the other day for some Halloween pictures that I remembered that I had. And I found these cute pictures of my son Garrett and my daughter Courtney at the pumpkin patch. Garrett went with his preschool class. This is a couple of years before I started homeschooling, and so he was in preschool at the public school, and they had a field trip to the local pumpkin patch. And so I pulled these photos because I thought they would work really well with the papers that I pulled. Now, one of the things that I really struggle with when I get a collection like this that I really love, I struggle cutting into it. Not because I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up, just because I think I just get overwhelmed and I don't know what to do. And sometimes I just have to take the sheet of cut aparts in a paper and cut them apart. Now, I just showed you all the tags. On the right hand side of this pile of paper, you can also see the borders from the Fernwood cut apart sheet. I cut those apart, and it's like that gives my brain permission to dig into the papers. Weird, huh? But that's just me. So I also saw this circle pattern paper that is laying on top, and from the very beginning I knew that I wanted to cut out those circles to play with. So I will be doing that in this video. So let's get started, and I'll be right back. Now, in a previous video you saw that I got out this container of grit paste. It is a new addition to my stash, but I had not yet played with it, and so I thought, why not play with it here too? So here I am using this concentric circle stencil. I don't really know what you'd quite want to call it, but it's one of my favorite stencils. I kind of wish I had it in a 12 by 12 size as well, but I'm just going to use this stencil, and I'm going to just put some circles on my background paper. This background paper is $49 at Market. It is really heavy and it will hold up to mixed media work. And so I'm really just putting it in places. Now, unfortunately, I cover up a lot of my mixed media that I do on this page, but you know, sometimes it's okay to just play and kind of see what your product does. And I didn't cover it up because I didn't like what it did. It's just the way it worked out in the end. So I also decided I wanted to play with some of my shimmers product. I have 3 containers of shimmers. That's all I have in my stash. When I purchased them, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on a product that I wasn't sure that I would enjoy using. And it has actually sat in my stash for about 2 years. I have never opened them, never used them, and I have recently put them in this little shelf that sits to the right of where I'm working, so that I have access to them. Now, when I opened this one, I was a little confused, like, this one's liquidy. Why is this one liquidy? So I mix it up and I just dip my brush in it and I use it to put splatters all over this page. When this dried, it was this beautiful pearlescent splatter. I really liked how it looked, but I was shocked that it was liquidy in the container. Now I'm going to bring in some ink smushing technique. I pulled out some Prima inks that I own. I don't play with these as often as I should either, but I have played with them. But I grabbed a couple of colors. I really like this orange one These have beautiful shimmery color in them, and they're fun to play with, and I've played with them twice this week already, so I just thought I would continue playing with them. And here I'm going to do that silly thing where I pour. At least I was very careful and didn't pour too much. In a previous video I poured a whole lot, made a huge mess, but this time I was really careful and only poured what I needed, and it turned out perfectly. In a second, I'm going to show you a still shot of the finished background. I love the splatters, I love the ink smushing. Now, all of these circles that you're going to see me put on this layout, I used one of my concentric circle or nested circle die sets to cut them out. I could have fussy cut them, but today I just decided to use the die and cut them out, and then I am going to distress each and every one. And as you can see over on the right hand side, I have already distressed all of the circles except for the one that I did on camera. I'm also going to distress this red plaid paper that I'm going to use and place on top of my background, and this is where I cover up all of that beautiful mixed media I did. But I really love how this layout turned out in the end, and I love that you can just kind of see a peek of the mixed media, the color, the splatters, the texture from my grit paste. It really turned out wonderfully. You saw me turn my background page around a little bit. I actually had a certain splatter that I wanted in the lower left hand corner, and so I turned it to make sure I got that splatter in that lower left hand corner. I also made sure that my red plaid pattern paper, the blue splotches that were on it, and those are part of the pattern paper. I cut that pattern paper in a manner that those splotches would show up on my page, and so I flipped it so that those are on the lower right hand side. Now I'm placing the circles that I cut, and I'm just kind of getting an idea of where they are going to end up, and you can see that I turned some of them sideways so that the lines go different ways, and then I'm going to move them around and make sure that I don't have a bunch of the same color in the same place, and so I switch them around a little bit just to make sure that I don't have too many of the same colors showing. I have decided this is where I'm going to place my photos on the layout, and now I'm going to distress the edges of these photos. I do this sometimes instead of matting my photos because it makes them pop a little bit more on the page without adding another layer. So it's time for me to start gluing down the circles, and I'm going to get out my quick dry glue and I'm going to glue them down along the side. I don't use my ATG gun to do this because liquid glue sticks better to the texture that I created on that background. I decide that my layout needs some more splatter, so I pull out that Liquidy Shimmers little pot that I had and I'm adding some more splatters on that. That stuff dried so pretty and I covered up so much of it that I wanted to make sure that there was some on this page, and it is just beautiful. I don't know if the liquid's intentional. I don't remember if I opened it when I first got it and it was already liquidy or if it's supposed to be liquidy, but I like it. I also grabbed some blue ink and I did some splatters on with that as well, just to give it a little bit more. Like I said, I covered up so much of the splatters when I put the background paper and the circles on that I just wanted to make sure that you can see my splatters, and I really like playing with ink anyway, so I bring in a couple more colors here and I just splatter the heck out of the background. I'm gonna start gluing down my photos, and again I'm using the liquid glue because it stays wet long enough for me to tuck things behind it and to add things without ripping my background paper. And so I'm just going to start doing some tucking with bits and pieces. Here's one of the tags that I cut out and have distressed off camera, and that's going to go behind the photo on the right. I have another tag that's going to go behind the photo on the left, and I'm just going to start playing around with embellishments and words and phrases and titles until I get finished. As I finish it up here, adding some hearts and those labels on the bottom where I'm going to put my journaling, I'll pick it up and I'm going to show you the close-ups of the layout. I will journal off camera and then bring you back the full layout so that you can see all of it. The splatters turned out beautifully. I love how my page turned out. Thank you for stopping by my channel today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.